Wherever Luma stepped, the grass glowed softly. Flowers began to grow beneath her feet. Life followed her like a shadow. But the town did not dare come close. People stood far away on the road, watching in silence. They had seen the ships. They had seen the light. And they had seen him. To them now, Ethan was no longer just a farmer. He was something else. Inside the house, the air felt warm, alive. The broken furniture had repaired itself again. The walls shimmered with hidden light. "What now?" Ethan asked as he sat down. Luma looked down, her face full of conflict. "Now? I must tell you what the Marauder meant when he called me the Starkey." He looked at her, listening carefully. "In the universe," she began, "there are hidden doors. Gates between realities, between dimensions, between worlds that should never touch. They are locked for a reason. Too much power lies on the other side, and you can open them." He asked. She nodded slowly. "My species was created to guard those gates. Only one, born once in thousands of cycles, becomes the Starkey. That one can open any gate or seal it forever." Ethan's chest tightened. "So, the reason they are after you is because with me," she continued, "they could open the darkest gates of all. They could release ancient forces. They could tear the universe apart." Silence wrapped around them. "And I am the last one," she whispered. "There are no more of my kind left. They destroyed my world trying to find me." Ethan closed his eyes. She was not just a child. She was the most important being in existence. "I don't want that power," she cried suddenly. "I never wanted this. I just wanted to live quietly with my family. I just wanted a home." "You have one," he said firmly. "Here, with me." "But if I stay," she said through tears, "they will never stop coming. They will hunt you. They will hunt this world. I will bring war to your people." He held her small face in his hands. "Listen to me," he said clearly. "You didn't bring war. They did. You only brought light." She stared at him. "You don't fear what I am?" she asked. "I fear a world without you in it," he replied. At those words, the guardian seal appeared in the air again, brighter, stronger, glowing like a star born inside the room. This time, it did something new. A vision filled the air. Earth burning. Cities destroyed. Ships falling from the sky. Then another image. Earth glowing with light. Aliens and humans together. Luma standing beside Ethan, wings healed. A crown of light above her head, and a final image. A dark gate opening in the center of the universe. And Ethan standing alone, holding it shut with every part of his being. The vision vanished. Both of them were shaking. "What does it mean?" Ethan whispered. "It is showing possible futures," Luma said softly. "One where we fail, and one where we succeed. And one where you must sacrifice everything." He swallowed hard. "Is there a way where we both live?" he asked. She looked away. "I do not see it clearly yet." Outside, thunder rolled again, but this time not from the sky, from space. A much larger presence had arrived, bigger than the Marauders. Older, something that made the very stars tremble. Luma's eyes widened in terror. "He is here," she whispered. "Who is?" Ethan demanded. "The keeper of the gate," she said, her voice barely a breath. "The one who decides if worlds live or disappear." The sky split open in pure white light. The air screamed, and a voice, ancient and endless, echoed across Earth and inside Ethan's soul at the same time. "Human, you have touched what was never meant for your kind. Step aside and give me the Starkey." Ethan stepped in front of Luma without hesitation. "She is not yours," he said. A silence deeper than the universe answered him. Then the voice spoke again, softer, curious. "Then prove to me she belongs to you. or I will erase this world to take her. Luma clutched his arm, trembling. What do we do? She whispered. Ethan looked into the blinding sky and made a decision that would change everything. Then I will prove it, he said, even if I have to fight a god. The ground beneath his feet began to rise. The light around Luma turned into pure starlight, and the next test was not a battle, it was a judgment. The world froze. Not just the farm, not just the town. The entire planet seemed to stop breathing. Birds hung in the air, wings paused. Leaves stopped falling. Rain held in mid-drop above the ground, shining like crystal in the sky. Even the wind became silent, as if it feared the presence that had arrived. Above Ethan and Luma, the sky opened into a massive circle of pure white light. From that light stepped a figure. It was not a man. It was not a god. It was something older, formed from stars and darkness, light and time. Its body was made of glowing lines, like constellations shaped into a living being. Its eyes were entire galaxies swirling slowly. The keeper of the gate. Luma fell to her knees immediately. Ethan did not. You have bonded with the Starkey. The keeper spoke. Its voice was not heard with ears, but felt inside the soul. A bond that was never meant for your species. She is not a thing, Ethan said, clenching his fists. She is a child. She is power, the keeper replied. Power that can shatter existence. Your world cannot be trusted with her. Then judge me, Ethan said, not her. For the first time in eternity, the keeper seemed curious. Very well, human. You shall face the trial of heart. The world vanished in one blink. They no longer stood on the farm. They stood in a starless void, floating in darkness. Beneath their feet was nothing. Above them was nothing. Only the glowing form of the keeper remained. You will face 3 visions, the keeper said, and with each you must choose. One wrong choice, and your world ends. Luma's small hand found Ethan's. Trembling. I'm here, he whispered. No matter what we see. The first vision appeared. He stood in a city he did not recognize. Buildings burned on all sides. Humans ran, screaming. Fire filled the sky. Above them, alien ships ruled the air. Luma stood at the center of the destruction. Her body was surrounded by darkness instead of light. Her eyes were red, her wings sharp and endless. I did this, she said in a hollow voice. The power took me. I destroyed them all. In the distance, the marauders stood bowed before her. You can stop me, Dark Luma said. Kill me now. And it never happens. Ethan's heart screamed. He looked at her, the suffering, the fear, the destruction. He could end it. All he had to do was destroy the girl. Before him, but he shook his head. I will never harm you, he said. Dark Luma screamed in rage and shattered like glass. The city vanished. The keeper watched him closely. Interesting. The second vision appeared. They now stood in a beautiful world, full of light. Floating islands, blue oceans in the sky. Alien creatures living peacefully with humans. Children of many worlds playing together. Luma stood grown and radiant, a queen of stars. This is the future with me alive, she said. But your world must be given to the gate. Earth will no longer exist. He saw Earth vanish, becoming stardust to power this perfect universe. All suffering ends, she whispered. Just say yes. He felt the temptation. No more war, no more pain, no more hunger, just peace. But at the cost of his home, his people, his planet. He looked up at her. No, he said. This peace built on sacrifice of the innocent is not true peace. The beautiful world shattered. Only darkness remained again, for the first time. The keeper's voice did not hold certainty. Final vision. This time, Ethan stood alone on the farm again. He was old. His hair was gray. His hands were weak. Luma, now fully healed, stood in front of a shimmering gate in the sky. "I must go," she said, "to seal the last gates forever. To stop all darkness." "And I?" he asked. "You cannot come. A human cannot pass through. I will be alone for all time." Pain cut deeper than any blade. "If you go," he whispered, "I will never see you again." "I know," she said softly. "Do you release me?" It was the hardest choice a heart could face. Keep her and doom everything, or let her go and lose her forever. He walked to her slowly and wrapped his arms around her. Then he stepped back. "I release you," he said. "Not because I want to, but because the universe needs you." Tears fell from her glowing eyes. The vision vanished. Silence returned. The keeper stared at Ethan for a long time. Then all the worlds began to move again. Time returned. The farm reappeared. The birds flew. The wind blew. The keeper hovered above them. "You have proven something rare. Human," it said. "You chose love over fear, sacrifice over power, and a child over a universe." The being turned toward Luma. "The star key shall remain, protected by Earth." Luma gasped in shock. "You mean I can stay?" She whispered. Double quotes. "Yes," the keeper answered. "But only because this human's heart is now bound not just to you, but to the balance of creation itself." Light poured into Ethan, warmer than the sun, stronger than any power he had felt before. He cried out as a final symbol burned onto his chest, the mark of the guardian of worlds. The sky closed. The danger faded. But a new destiny was sealed. Luma looked up at him, her eyes shining with hope again. "You did it," she whispered. He smiled weakly. "No," he said, "we did." But far away in the universe, hidden beyond even the keeper's sight, something ancient had awakened, something that heard the judgment and did not agree, and it began to move, slowly, toward Earth. "Luma, what's happening to me?" he asked. Her eyes widened. "You are changing," she whispered. "The bond is not only protecting me, it is sharing my power with you." He stared at his glowing hand. Human skin was not meant to shine. Outside, of the sick cows that had struggled all winter stood up suddenly. It walked as if pain had never touched it. In the garden, dead plants that had turned brown rose again, stretching toward the light, and a dog that had been blind for years opened its eyes and began to bark. Seeing for the first time, the whole land was healing in town. People began to notice. "Have you seen the crops on Ethan's field?" One farmer said at the local store. "They're greener than anything I ever saw. It's that old apple tree of his. It bloomed overnight," another whispered. "And my little boy. He wandered near that land," a woman said with tears in her eyes. "His fever was gone when he came back." Fear mixed with wonder spread like wildfire. Meanwhile, inside the house, Luma looked worried. "This attention is dangerous," she said. "The marauders also feel this change. Power attracts darkness." As if to prove her words, the sky flickered outside the window for a second. Like reality itself was blinking far in space. The marauder leaders stood before a glowing map of Earth. A bright point pulsed over Ethan's land. "There," he growled. "I can feel her pulse again, stronger than ever." One of his soldiers hissed. "The human is becoming a conduit. He is no longer ordinary." "Then we shall no longer treat him as ordinary," the leader replied. "Prepare for ground invasion." Back on the farm, Ethan stepped outside. He looked at his land, and for the first time in his life, he could feel it. The soil, the roots, the insects, the air, the life, he could feel everything. "I can hear the heartbeat of the earth." he said in disbelief. Luma stepped beside him. That is Eliron's sight, she explained. You now see as we see, feel as we feel. You are becoming something new. Ethan, is that bad? No, she said softly. It is beautiful and terrifying. Suddenly, the wind stopped. No birds sang. No insects buzzed. A shadow fell over the field. Ethan looked up. A massive dark ship hovered silently above the clouds. Then another. Then another. They were back. This time they did not hide their form. Black metal, sharp edges, glowing red veins. Like monsters built from machines and nightmares. They found us. Luma whispered. Ethan grabbed a metal rod from the ground, even though he knew it was useless against a ship. They won't take you, he said through clenched teeth. I don't care if they're gods. I won't let them touch you. The ground beneath them began to glow. Energy answered his anger, his love, his promise. The marauder ships stopped in the air, as if they felt the power rising from the small human below. A human should not command Eliron light, the leader said through a loudspeaker. His voice echoed across the fields. Hand her over, and your world will be spared. Ethan looked down at Luma. She looked up at him, and in her eyes, he saw something new. Not fear, hope. Never, he shouted to the sky. She is under my protection now. The clouds twisted. Thunder began to roll again, but this time the storm was not natural. The storm was calling to him, and for the first time in history. The earth answered a human's command. The sky above Ethan's land had turned black, not because of clouds, not because of a storm, but because of the alien ships. They hovered like massive shadows, blocking the sun, stealing the light, draining the warmth from the earth. The animals ran in fear. The trees bent under the pressure. Even the ground trembled as if it feared what was about to happen. But Ethan did not move. He stood in the center of the field, his hands glowing, his heart burning like a star. Luma stood behind him, her small hands gripping the fabric of his shirt. They are many, she whispered. Too many. Then I'll become more, he replied. A beam of red light shot down from the largest ship. It struck the ground only a few feet away from him, leaving a burning line in the earth. Last warning, human, the alien leader boomed from the sky. Give us the child. Ethan lifted his glowing hand, and the beam stopped in mid-air, frozen like time itself had obeyed him. The mortar ships went silent inside the largest one. The aliens stared in shock. That is impossible. He is not Eliron. But Ethan had become more than human. The earth beneath his feet responded. The air twisted around him. The light around him grew brighter and brighter until his whole body shone like living fire. I told you, he shouted, his voice echoing beyond his own throat. She is under my protection. He thrust his hand forward. The frozen beam shattered into countless red fragments, dissolving into nothing. One ship fired again. Then another. Then all of them. The sky filled with destruction. But instead of fear, Ethan felt connection. He reached deep inside himself and felt the heartbeat of Earth once more. The roots of trees. The flow of rivers. The pulse of the mountains. Help me. He whispered to the planet. And the planet answered. The ground split open beneath the first ship. Massive vines made of pure light rose from the soil, wrapping around the dark metal, crushing it. A second ship was struck by a bolt of lightning that bent like it had a mind of its own. A third ship tried to escape, but the air around it turned heavy, like thick water. It struggled. Flames exploded from its sides, and it crashed far beyond the forest in a blazing storm of fire. From the town, people watched in horror and wonder. Is that Ethan? Someone whispered. What has he become? Another cried. Luma stepped beside him, her wings rising now. glowing stronger than before. "You are not fighting alone," Shu said. She lifted her hands, and a wave of silver light poured into the sky. Where it touched the alien ships, they began to weaken. Their lights flickered. Their engines screamed. "She is restoring the planet's field," and aliens shouted in panic. "Pull back. Pull back now." But the leader was furious. "No. Take the child at any cost." One final ship dropped lower than the rest. Its sides opened, and creatures poured out, tall, armored, with glowing red eyes and sharp weapons. They landed on the field in front of Ethan for the first time. The fight came to the ground. One of the creatures charged at him. Swinging a blade made of burning energy, Ethan raised his hand, and the blade shattered. He didn't strike back with anger. He struck back with will. The creature flew backwards, thrown by an invisible force slamming into another of its kind. Two more ran at him. Luma cried out, and light burst from her body, forming a shield around them both. The aliens could not cross it. "You cannot win forever." "Human," one of them growled through broken teeth. Ethan's eyes burned bright. "I don't need forever," he said. "I need today." He slammed his hand into the ground. A shockwave burst out in all directions. The earth beneath the aliens glowed and cracked, lifting them into the air like broken puppets. Their armor shattered. Their bodies faded into ash dot above. The remaining ships began to retreat. Fear finally touched them, but the leader of the Marauders did not turn away. Instead, his face appeared in the air above the battlefield, dark, twisted, and full of hate. "You have chosen war, human," he snarled, "and you have no idea what you truly protect." His eyes fell on Luma. "She is not just a Lyran," he continued. "She is the last star key. With her power, entire universes can be opened or destroyed." Ethan froze. Luma looked down in terrified realization. I did not know." She whispered. "You are bound to a fate beyond your world," the leader said. "And now?" So is he. The image vanished. The ships disappeared into the sky. Silence returned. Only smoke. Broken earth and glowing light remained. Ethan collapsed to his knees. Exhausted, Luma rushed to him, holding his face in her small hands. "You saved me," she cried. "You saved this world." He managed a tired smile. "No," he whispered. "We did." But deep inside, he understood something had changed. Not just for them, but for all worlds connected to the stars. And this battle was only the beginning. The field was quiet now. No ships. No screams. No thunder. Only broken earth, glowing cracks in the soil. And the distant sound of the wind returning. Ethan lay on the ground, his chest rising and falling slowly. Every muscle in his body ached. His hands still glowed faintly, like dying embers after a great fire. Luma knelt beside him, her small hands pressed against his chest as if she was afraid his heart might stop. "Ethan, stay with me," she whispered. His eyes slowly opened. "I'm still here," he said weakly. "You're not getting rid of me that easily." Tears filled her eyes, glowing like tiny stars. "You used too much of the planet's energy. A human body was not meant to hold that kind of power, but I held it," he said. "For you. That is why you survived," she whispered. "Because the bond chose you." When he tried to stand, pain shot through his body. Luma supported him with surprising strength, walking him back toward the house. For the first time, he noticed something strange. "There was a storm," he said. "Things fall in storms. May we come inside and look around?" The man asked. "No," Ethan said firmly. "This is private property." There was a short silence. Then the man laughed softly. "You don't seem to understand, sir. This is not a request. Ethan felt a sudden weight in his chest. Like gravity itself had grown heavier from the corner of the house. A faint blue glow grew brighter. Luma was afraid. Ethan made a choice. He opened the door. The two strangers stepped in. The air immediately felt colder. The animals outside went silent. Even the floorboards seemed to hold their breath beneath their feet. Their eyes scanned the room, faster than normal humans could move. Their heads tilted slightly, as if they were listening to invisible voices. "You are alone here, Mr. Harper?" the woman asked. "Yes," he replied, standing between them and the hallway. The man leaned closer to the air, sniffing like an animal. "Interesting. The signal is strongest here." Then his eyes moved to the blanket on the floor. "You don't mind if we check that, do you?" he said before Ethan could stop him. The woman moved faster than the eye could see. She pulled the blanket away. Luma lay exposed. Small, glowing, terrified. The man smiled. But his smile was not human. "Found you," he whispered. He reached for her. Ethan moved. He didn't think. He didn't hesitate. He only acted. He grabbed the heavy iron wood-splitting axe beside the fireplace and swung it with full force. The metal blade cut through the air and struck the man's shoulder, to Ethan's shock. Sparks flew instead of blood. The man screamed, not a human scream, but something mechanical, broken, and metallic. His disguise flickered, revealing dark armor and glowing red eyes beneath the skin. "You dare attack us, human." The woman's voice became deep and twisted. "I told you she was safe here," Ethan shouted. "Now get out of my house." The woman raised her hand, and invisible energy pushed Ethan across the room. He slammed into the wall, gasping for air. Luma's eyes flashed bright blue dots. Suddenly, the windows shattered. Wind burst inside the house like a wild beast. The floor vibrated. The lights burst. A powerful wave of energy exploded from Luma's small body. The two creatures were thrown back, smashing into the opposite wall. They froze. Stunned. "You have awakened her powers." The man growled as he struggled to stand. "She belongs to the council. A weapon. A key." "She is not a weapon," Ethan shouted as he forced himself up. Blood ran from his lip. "She is a child." The being stepped back slowly. "This is not over, human," the woman hissed. "We will return. And next time, we will not be gentle." They ran outside, jumped into the black car, and within seconds, it vanished into nothing. Like it never existed at all, silence returned. The house was destroyed. Glass everywhere. Smoke in the air. But Luma was still there, alive. Ethan looked at her. She looked at him. "You risked your life for me," she whispered. "I meant what I said," he replied. "You're safe here." She moved closer, carefully, and wrapped her small arms around him, and in that moment, something impossible happened. A bright symbol formed in the air above them. An ancient alien mark. A bond, a protector's oath, far above the planet. In a dark ship filled with countless lights and shadows. A leader opened his eyes. "The human has bonded with her," he said slowly. And that, another voice replied, "changes everything." The house was broken. Glass covered the floor. The door hung loose on its hinges. The walls were cracked from the strange energy that had burst from Luma's body. But somehow, Ethan and Luma were still alive. Outside, the sky was quiet again. No black car. No strange beings. Only birds and wind. It looked normal. But nothing in their world was normal anymore. Luma sat on the floor beside Ethan. Her small hands were glowing again. Brighter than before. She stared at them in shock. "I did that," she whispered. "I never wanted to hurt anyone." "You didn't mean to," Ethan said softly. He placed a hand on her shoulder. You were protecting yourself. And me. Tears filled her large, shining eyes. They didn't fall like human tears. They glowed instead, landing on the wooden floor like tiny blue stars. They are coming back, she said in a trembling voice. They will not stop. I am too important to them. What are you, Luma? Ethan asked gently. Who are they? She hesitated, like she was afraid of her own words. I am from the world of Illyra, she finally said. A small, peaceful planet that floats in a purple star system. We do not fight. We do not build weapons. We only create light and energy for other worlds. Energy. Ethan repeated. Yes, my people have a rare power. We can connect to stars and turn their light into life, into healing, into power. That is why the Dark Ones want us, Dark Ones. He asked. The Marauders, she whispered. They travel across space, stealing power, breaking planets, taking children like me to use as batteries, as living weapons. A fire rose in Ethan's chest. They broke your wings. He said. She nodded. They took me from my family. I escaped when their ship was damaged. I fell through space and landed here. He looked at the torn wings on her back. Their edges glowed faintly, as if trying to heal. You're not a weapon, he said firmly. You're just a child who needs protection. Luma looked up at him. You are not afraid of me, she said. No, he answered. I'm afraid of losing you. Her glow brightened at those words. Suddenly, the symbol above their hands reappeared again, brighter, bigger, more powerful. It hovered in the air, spinning slowly. What is that? Ethan asked. In my world, Luma said in awe. That is called the Guardian Seal. It only appears when an Illyran child finds a true protector. What does it mean? It means our lives are now connected. If you die, I die. If I am taken, part of you goes with me. Ethan swallowed hard. Then we'll make sure neither of those things happen, he said. Just then, a deep humming sound echoed in the distance again. This time, it was louder. Stronger. They are scanning the area, Luma whispered in fear. They can feel the bond. Ethan rushed to the window and looked up. Dark shapes moved through the clouds, like giant shadows swimming in the sky, much larger than before. More than one. How much time do we have? He asked. Very little, she replied. But there is something else I can do now, because of the bond. She stood up, even though she was weak. Her small body vibrated with energy. What are you doing? He asked. I can hide this land, she said. I can wrap it in a light veil. To human eyes, everything will look normal, but to alien eyes, it will disappear. Can you do that? I don't know, she said honestly. I have never tried on a world so far from Illyra. She stepped outside into the center of the field. The grass bent around her like it respected her. The sky above her changed colors from gray to deep blue, to soft violet. Ethan watched in disbelief as beams of light rose from her body and spread out over the farm-like wings. The light touched the trees, the barn, the house, and finally the sky above. A wave of glowing energy rolled across the land. Then everything became normal again. But it also felt different. Hidden, protected Luma collapsed to her knees. Ethan ran to her and caught her. She was barely breathing. Hey, stay with me, he whispered in panic. I used too much energy, she said weakly, her voice fading. But they cannot see us now, for some time. He lifted her carefully and carried her back inside the broken house, laying her on the only unbroken bed. You did good, he said, brushing her glowing hair from her face. You're safe now. I won't let anything happen to you. Above the planet, the marauder ships slowed down, confused. Their screens flickered. No signal. no planet signature. She vanished. One of them hissed. No, their leader said coldly. She is still there, hidden by an ancient force, and a human. Far below, Ethan sat beside Luma, holding her small hand as she slept. Outside the window, the stars looked brighter than usual, as if they were watching over them, and for the very first time in a long while. Luma smiled in her sleep. The farm should have looked broken. The windows were shattered. The door hung crooked. The roof was cracked. But the next morning, everything looked strangely untouched. The sun rose over the fields like a golden promise. The broken glass on the floor had vanished. The walls stood straight again. Even the door rested in its frame as if it had never been hit. Only Ethan remembered what had really happened. He stood in the center of the room, confused and amazed. How is this possible? He whispered. Luma lay on the bed, finally awake. Her glow was softer now, like a calm sunrise instead of a storm. Her wings still looked damaged, but thin lines of silver light had started to grow along the torn edges. It is the veil, she said weakly. When I hid this land, I also let it borrow energy from the stars. Matter heals where light touches. So, you fixed the house while you were sleeping? He asked. Yes, but only for now. The magic will fade unless the bond remains strong. He walked to her side and sat down. Then we will keep it strong, he said. She looked into his eyes and gave a small, shy smile. That was when something strange happened. A warm sensation spread up his arm, starting from the place where he was touching her hand. It felt like sunlight flowing inside his veins. He gasped as glowing lines appeared on his skin, the same pattern as the symbol that had appeared in the air before. No one in the town of Willow Creek believed in aliens. People here believed only in hard work, rain, soil, and the slow passing of time. It was a quiet farming town, surrounded by fields, tall grass, and old trees that whispered with the wind. Nothing strange ever happened in Willow Creek. Until that stormy night, Ethan was a simple farmer. He lived alone in a small wooden house at the edge of town. His parents had passed away years ago, and the farm was all he had left. He spent his days growing crops, fixing fences, and taking care of his animals. He did not speak much to people and preferred the company of the earth and sky. That night, the sky turned black earlier than usual. Thick clouds covered the moon, and strong winds began to shake the windows. Rain fell hard, like thousands of tiny stones hitting the roof. Ethan had just finished feeding the chickens when he heard a strange sound. It was not thunder. It was a cry, a soft, weak, almost broken sound. Ethan froze. His heart beat faster. Probably just a wounded fox or a lost dog, he told himself. But the sound came again. It was not like any animal he had ever heard before. He grabbed a lantern and stepped outside. The wind pushed against him, trying to drive him back inside, but something inside his heart told him to keep walking. He moved toward the edge of the forest where the tall grass bent and trembled under the rain. Then he saw her. A tiny figure lay curled up on the wet ground. At first, he thought she was a strange-looking child. But as he moved closer, his breath caught in his throat. She was not human. Her skin glowed faintly like soft moonlight, tinted with a pale blue color. Her eyes were large and shining, filled with both fear and pain. Small marks covered her arms as if she had crashed or been thrown from somewhere above. And behind her, half hidden in the grass, were thin, delicate wings, torn and broken. She was an alien. His hands trembled. Every story he had ever heard about aliens rushed into his mind, how they were dangerous, how they were monsters, how they destroyed worlds. The town would be terrified if they saw her. They would hunt her, capture her, or worse. She looked up at him, and for a moment he thought she might attack him. But she didn't. Instead, She wrapped her tiny arms around herself and whispered in a weak, trembling voice. He did not understand the words, but he understood the feeling. She was begging. Not with words, but with her eyes. Easy. "It's okay," Ethan said softly, without even thinking. He was surprised by his own voice. He slowly knelt beside her. "I won't hurt you." The tiny alien flinched, but then relaxed just a little. Carefully, very carefully, Ethan picked her up. She was lighter than a child, lighter than a bird. Her body was cold from the rain and storm. She hissed in pain as he moved her, and his heart shattered at the sound. He carried her inside his home and placed her on his old wooden table, covering her with a warm blanket. He cleaned the wounds on her skin using clean water and cloth. She watched him closely the whole time, afraid, confused, but also curious. "I don't know who you are," he whispered, "but you're safe here. I promise." Outside, the storm continued to roar. Thunder shook the walls. But inside the small house, something impossible and magical had just begun in the distance. Far above the clouds, a dark object moved silently across the sky. It was not human, and it was not friendly. Ethan did not know it yet. But by choosing to save the creature no one else wanted, he had just changed the fate of two worlds forever, and the tiny alien girl, trembling under the blanket, slowly reached out and touched his hand. The storm had passed, but the air outside still smelled of wet soil and fear. Ethan did not sleep that night. He sat beside the small table, where the tiny alien lay under a thick blanket. Her chest moved up and down, slow and soft, like a sleeping child. Every now and then, her fingers twitched and a faint glowing wave passed over her skin. It was beautiful and frightening at the same time. He did not know what to do in the morning. He did not know if he should call the police, the army, the scientists, or no one at all. "She is just a child," he whispered to himself as he looked at her wounded wings. A scared, lost child. Early sunlight crept in through the window. Birds returned to their songs. The farm animals began to make noise, hungry and waiting. It was like the whole world had decided to continue as normal. But for Ethan, nothing was normal anymore. The tiny alien slowly opened her eyes. She stared at the wooden ceiling, confused. Then she saw Ethan's face and froze. Her body tensed, ready to run, even though she could hardly move. "Easy. You're safe," he said gently. He moved back a little so she wouldn't feel trapped. "You're in my home. I won't hurt you." She looked at the blanket covering her, then at the bandage on her arm. Her eyes widened. She touched it carefully, then looked at his hands. "Safe," she whispered, her voice soft and strange, but somehow understandable. Ethan's eyes widened. You can speak my language." "Broken," she said slowly, "but learning." Before he could reply, he heard a knock on the door. His heart dropped. No one ever came to his house without a reason. "Ethan," came the voice of Mrs. Turner, the neighbor. "Are you home? I saw lights on all night." The tiny alien's eyes filled with fear again. She pulled the blanket up to hide her face. "Stay quiet," Ethan whispered to her. Then he stood up and walked to the door. Forcing his hands not to shake, he opened it just a little. Mrs. Turner stood there with a basket of eggs. She was an old, kind woman, but also very curious. "You all right, son? That storm last night?" "It was nasty," she said as she looked past him into the house. "I'm fine," he answered quickly. "Just fixing some things inside," she sniffed. "I heard a cry last night. Didn't sound like a fox. We get strange animals out here sometimes," he said, trying to smile. Her eyes moved left, then right. "You sure?" "Yes, ma'am," he said. "I appreciate the eggs." She didn't move. Then a soft, glowing blue light flashed inside the room. Mrs. Turner's eyes widened. What in heaven's name was that? Without thinking, Ethan stepped fully outside and gently closed the door behind him. Probably the lantern, he lied. Its glass cracked in the storm. She stared at the door, then back at him. "You've been acting odd lately, boy? Just be careful." "I will," he said quietly. She finally turned away and walked down the path. Ethan exhaled slowly and stepped back inside. Locking the door behind him, "You must stay hidden," he told the tiny alien kneeling beside her. "Humans, they are afraid of what they don't understand. They might hurt you." Her large eyes studied him. "Why? You're not afraid?" she asked. He thought for a moment. "Because fear is a choice, and I choose not to let it control me." She seemed to think about that. Then, very slowly, she pushed the blanket away and sat up. She winced in pain but did not cry. "My name." She paused, as if searching for the right words. "Luma, Luma," he repeated softly, like the name was a gift. "I'm Ethan." She nodded once. "Thank you." Ethan, outside, far across the fields, a strange humming sound filled the air, so quiet that only the birds stopped singing. High above the clouds, a dark, metallic shape drifted silently. They were searching for her, and they were getting closer. Inside, a small wooden house. Luma reached out again and held Ethan's hand, this time not in fear, but in trust, and Ethan realized something terrible and beautiful at the same time. He was now her only protector in the entire world. For the first time in his life, Ethan felt like he was being watched. The farms looked the same. The road was the same. The sky was the same. But something had changed in the air. A strange pressure, like invisible eyes, were staring at him from everywhere at once. Luma sensed it too. She sat near the window, looking out at the fields. The faint glow on her skin dimmed as if she was trying to hide her presence. Her head tilted from side to side, listening to sounds beyond human hearing. "They are close," she whispered. "Who is close?" Ethan asked. "The ones who hurt me. The ones who broke my wings." A cold chill ran down his back. He wanted to ask questions, hundreds of them. But deep in his heart, he already knew the answer. She was being hunted, suddenly. The sound of an engine came from the dirt road. Not a tractor. Not a farm truck. This car moved differently, smooth and quiet, like it didn't belong on muddy ground. Ethan stepped to the window and looked out. A black car stopped at the end of his driveway. The door opened. A tall man stepped out, wearing a dark coat and sunglasses, even though the sun was hidden behind clouds. Another figure came out of the other side, a woman, equally still and silent. Her eyes hidden behind glass. They didn't look normal. They didn't look human. "Stay hidden," Ethan whispered. "Go to the back room now." Luma nodded and moved carefully away. Her injured wings dragged slightly behind her, but she made no sound. A loud knock echoed through the house. "Mr. Ethan Harper." A voice called Dot. Ethan took a slow breath and walked to the door. "Yes?" he answered without opening it. "We are from the Environmental Control Department," the man said calmly. "We received reports of unusual activity in this area." "What kind of activity?" Ethan asked. "Strange lights, strange sounds, and something falling from the sky," the woman added. Her smile was too perfect to be real.